Where influence meets inspiration, where talent tells a story. Welcome to Celebrity Corner, the shows that brings you face to face with entertainers, fashion designers, and business executives shaping the culture.
Celebrity Corner. Celebrity Corner.
Celebrity Corner.
Celebrity Corner.
Celebrity Corner is on.
Yeah, boy, this name is not a call. Celebrity Corner.
Real stories, real success, real impact. Join us every Friday, 7:30 p.m. only on Ellen TV with your host, DJ Weezy the Boss. See you. What a pleasant day to welcome you to Celebrity Corner on the Liberian National Television. This show is also live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. And my name is Don Weezy. Like I always say, it's where talent meets influence and social tells a story. Interestingly, today on the show, we have a visionary young man. I know that some of you were there with me. You guys played this sports Lappa. I remember when I was kids back in the days. I still remember the name Lappa. So he has modernized that game. I'm told they have a standardized rules. So we have invited him on the podcast to talk much more about this entire idea of modernizing this childhood game. Again, my name is Don Weezy, and this is Celebrity Corner on the Liberian National Television. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you.
Okay, could you just introduce yourself, please?
Okay, my name is George Simeon, and I happen to be the developer and founder of Pair 19 Sports, which is Lappa.
Okay, so let's go straight into it. What exactly is Lappa, and why should Liberians, care about transforming it into an organized sport? Why should we care?
Yeah, okay, so in the first place, Lappa has some qualities that carries Liberian culture.
Okay.
Coming out as a young man, my grandmother would watch me from the stairs kid, looking at me or watch me playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
So you realize that that in itself was a sign of care.
Okay.
If your grandmother is watching you play a game, that itself is a sign of care. So Lappa has hold a very integral part of our culture, especially during the course of the war.
Okay.
Children never had toys to play with because of war migration from one, or there's a movement from one place to another.
Mm-hmm.
So children never had toys to play with. So, and we never had any kind of sport aside for football.
Right.
So you realize that children would gather their pairs of slippers, put some pieces of socks or remain plastics and things.
Right.
That was how we played the game from the beginning. So, like I said, it holds an integral part of our culture.
What problem, are you trying to solve by modernizing this Lappa game?
Okay, thank you. I didn't mention that earlier, but I'm a social entrepreneur.
Okay.
So as a social entrepreneur, we basically look at business issues to solve social problems. So you realize that in Liberia, we do not have an indigenous sport.
Right.
And that for sure, we do not have an indigenous sport. So having an indigenous sport by itself, I believe, is a problem that being discovered in society.
Right.
So you will realize that Africa also shaped thousands or tons of players from the continent. And they go and stay in a European country, buy luxurious houses, cars. But if we had a talent on the continent, those talents we had a sport on the continent, those talents would stay right here instead of being exported abroad. So those are some of the problems that we realize that Lappa could solve if we pay more attention to in our Liberian society.
Then a follow-up question: when did you first realize Lappa could become more than a traditional community game?
So in 2019, I was watching football game, and I look at how football has been evolved around individual. And so this does not mean demystifying the act of football, but I realized that football has been currently, evolved around individual compared to, and you understand the unification aspect, because it used to be football unifying a body.
Right.
But in most cases, people are being stopped after games, people stabbing one another. They say, So I believe that in itself had to some extent tempered with the real origin of football.
Okay.
So I realized that in a town of Liberia, we could have a sport, especially something that had already been lying there. So we could have a sport. We could have a sport out of Lappa and develop it. So that was when I started the development of Lappa.
Then this is the big question I would love to ask. Who owns Lappa? You, the communities that play it traditionally, or Liberia as a whole? Who owns the sports?
It is traditional. Firstly, it comes from the community. That's the reason why we are launching our street parlor. Our sixth community parlor called Lappas in the street.
Okay.
So we have to take the sport back in the street. If it is confirmed at this developed level, if it is confirmed in the community, then it means that it is something that has been in our system.
So if this post is recognized internationally, who should benefit financially from it?
I like we benefit big time. Like I said, we'll be having talents who will be based on the financial transactions. We'll be having if you're having transfer players, you'll be having young people who are being elevated. I was just telling someone 2 days ago that we are trying to close the gap of equality and inequality.
Right.
So the equity rather aspect there is that we'll be creating jobs.
Okay.
We'll be creating opportunity for young people. So it's a big thing. It's a big boost for Liberia and Africa at large.
I'm concerned. Did you invent the modern version of this Lappa game?
Yeah, I'm formalizing something like Liberian have played for generation.
Okay.
And I'm also adding Gen Z spice to it, because trust me, we are in a Gen Z dispensation. So I'm adding Gen Z spice to it. So
have you consulted, some elders or some of the communities that play Lappa before in Liberia? Have you done some consultation?
Yes, we had a pilot project right here in Duporo.
Okay.
We had a pilot project in 2023. I brought together about 24 young kids, and then they played the game for almost 6 months.
Okay.
So it is within the development aspect is within the belly of our communities already.
What happens if someone from another country, say you guys didn't create this game, we have been playing it for decades? What would be your response?
We have a culture. We have a culture that's attached to colloquial in Liberia called Lappa.
Okay.
Obviously, our women wear Lappa, so it's not going to be something like easy to take from us. Our women wear Lappa.
Right.
It's also enshrined within our muses, our local muses, contents and things. So it is not easier for you to just remove Lappa from Liberia.
I want you driven through the new rules. I'm told you are modernized this entire game. So I want you driven through the new rules of Lappa.
Some of the new rule is that we have a freeze ball. We now have freeze ball in the.
What is freeze ball?
A freeze ball is a ball that is kicked across the
pitch.
78 yard. I want to be specific. Across the 78 yard.
Okay.
We have 78 yard. Length of the field. So if the ball is kicked above.
Lappa has a fee now.
Of course so. Of course so.
Wow.
So if a ball is kicked across the 78 yard, automatically, that ball is a freeze ball. So when it is kicked within the confine of the freeze yard, so it is an acceptable ball. So the referees are going to be there. The referees are there. We already have design training for the referees.
Okay.
Of course, we have design training for referee, for linesmen, for the coaches that have interest in ensuring that this game goes viral.
Wow, I'm confused. Freeze ball, I'm still confused. But let me hear another rules.
So some of the rules, one of the eye-catching rules is one of the new rules. Is, for example, if the ball touches beneath your knee, you are not out. Those is if the ball touches any part of the body, you're out.
Okay.
But the reason is because we have to make the game competitive and challenging.
Right.
If you are to make it so easy,
right,
and you understand, and we already have we also have a place called the index. Now in this index space is where the indexes is going to stay. So you cannot be controlling a player just within the confine of a space. Then you manage the use of the ball from the entire body. So we say from the knee beneath, of course, you are not up. But from the knee all the way up, you are up. That is also enshrined in handball rules. Okay,
so what happens when the traditional ways of playing Lappa conflict with your new rules? What happens?
That's the reason why we are elevating it to a sport level. So it's no longer going to be at the level, at the grassroots level. So you're going to have a committee that's going to be responsible to commute between the old and the new rules.
Okay.
So we are going to be working.
So a follow-up question to that: How do you make Lappa modern without destroying the cultural identity that makes a Lappa?
Okay, number one, you look at the playing page. You talk about rules, and and rule commensurate with our or resonates with our tradition. In our tradition, there are certain places you don't go. There are certain places you go. So automatically we realize that rule is also part of our culture of life. So there's no way they come in conflict with one another.
Okay, so this is another big question. Who has the authority to change those rules in the future? Who has the legal right to change those rules in the future?
If you mean legal right, I would be basically looking at the grassroots, because those people who play it from the beginning are the one who will be making recommendations to what extent those rules can be changed. And that's the reason why, like we said, we'll have a committee constituted that will commute between the community and the federation. So automatically, while we are going global on the sport basis, tradition, so we'll be enshrining more traditional rules into it as well. Okay,
let's talk about the playing page. Why did you decide Lappa needs a specific page?
We talk about how you call it rules. So once you talk about rules, now then you talk about control. Okay. You cannot control people outside. You cannot have a rule.
How did you come about with the dimension of the page?
That is the visionary aspect of it.
Okay.
First, we only have 3 basic players on the field of Lappa, and one person is in the index or in the middle. 2 persons sandwiching the main man, and then you have one or 2 persons behind the 2 guys that are in the middle. So now we have a page. It means that because a lot of the work were on the 2 main people that were throwing the balls here and there. So now we have how you call it, support base players in the background. About 1, 2, 3 support base players, and they are situated on both sides of the field that are sitting so that the ball will not go far, especially where you're trying to control someone in a particular space. And you do not want to have a game where you do not have a rule and system.
Right.
But when the rule and system is there, so automatically you want to keep someone in the confine of the rule and system. So yeah, there are a lot of features that are being added.
Celebrity Corner is live on the Liberian national television. We're talking to a visionary young man, one of the brains behind this sports Lappa. But I'm told the name has been changed now to Pay Nothing. So why the name Pay Nothing? What does it represent?
Great. In 2019, when we started the development of Lappa, then we got a stroke around 2020. Now development has contextualized impact on any process.
Right.
It means that while we were developing again, and then there was this pause in the COVID-19, the lockdown came in, so we were not active into doing the piloting to ensure that we can do all of the measures that we needed to put in the room. So automatically that lockdown aspect of it, but then COVID-19 had erupted the process. But guess what? COVID-19 is also a pandemic. It's a global pandemic, right? So we wanted to ascribe the name COVID-19 to pair because Lappa is a pair game. It's actually a pair game.
Right.
Football is a ball game, right? Kickball is a basketball also is a ball game, but we play with pair and ball, so we call it exclusively a pair game. So we wanted to ascribe that 19 to pair, and you understand, to make it unique, because to give it to quite a unique name. More so Lappa, the development of Lappa have given rise to space on the field of play. And if you look at COVID-19, had a social distancing feature.
Right.
So that social distancing feature that we capture within Lappa game is what makes it you got to pair 19. More so, we have soccer and we have football. So we still have Lappa and we still have pair 19. One of them will be a game, one of them be a sport.
I don't get that.
One of them will be a game and one of them be a sport. So the sport aspect is going to be the administrative aspect, and the game aspect is going to be the Lappa aspect. So pair 19 is going to be the how you call it, the sport aspect of the entire.
How do you intend to decentralize this game, or in other words, how do you intend to get people supporting this idea, Liberians supporting this game?
So right now we should even have people coming out now to support, because we have a 6 community power project.
Okay.
We have the Dupo Road community, the New Georgia community, Caldwell, Camp Johnson Road, Kangotown, and the AFE community.
When the start of the project?
The project started already.
Okay.
We have the first one, which run from August 1st to the last day in August, which is recruitment process. We're getting the children familiar with the game and distribution of flyers and things in the community, getting them back on track. So then September will be the real training aspect. We are going to train more than 180 young people in the various communities, so that basically, the training will be in September. Like I said, September it will run for 12 days and then 20 hours, because September is the beginning of school in our how you call it, Liberian setting. So we have to give them time. So the pilot will run from now all the way to October. October there will be a match, a tournament between the 6 communities. The 6 communities, we ensure that they have 2 teams each community. So we'll have 12 teams.
Right.
Now we have had 3 leagues that have already been designed for this identical game.
Wow.
We have the grassroots league, which is called the Siba Boy, because my grandmother contributed heavily towards this identical sport.
Okay.
So I decided to name the first grassroots, match, or a tournament in honor of her, Siba Boy League. So the Siba Boy League is what we call the street league.
Okay.
That's where Lappa is going back to the street. Now the next league will be called the lockdown league. Remember during the lockdown period of COVID-19.
Right.
So when children were locked down, when children and parents were locked down in homes, you will realize that the children will stay right in the confine of the yard. They will not go far.
Right.
So we call that the lockdown league. Now from the lockdown league, we call the Monorail Union League, which is called the Union League.
Okay.
The Union League is what we're going to be talking about, the 4 countries, because we want to make sure we grab the consent of the 4 countries.
I love it. That's been so brilliant. I love it. How much money is being invested in P19?
We have invested more in energy.
Okay.
We have invested more in energy and research compared to money, because we do not have any support right now. This is almost like a quote-unquote all of a mean thing, especially when it comes to our Liberian and financial, environment.
What happens after this pilot project? Is it a one-time event or the beginning of a national Lappa League?
So I appreciate that question, because that leads me into our 9 years plan. We have a plan and goal to we call it a roadmap to Olympic 2035. By 2035 or before 2035, we want to be a recognized Olympic sport.
Okay.
And how do we do that? We need to firstly get a pilot. So the result we are going to get from this pilot is what we're going to duplicate or replicate into the various communities, where we'll have school leagues, ISA league, commensurate with the ISA league.
Right.
Then of course we'll have county tournament.
Okay.
Then of course we start talking about country tournaments as well. So we have a long list of activities.
That's big.
ahead of us already.
Let's talk about business now. I'm interested in the business part of it. How do you plan to make money from this game?
Yeah, firstly, we've been 100% focused on ensuring that we can have it insurance in our grassroots sports, because but I told someone that it is easy enough to make money right now out of anything, especially when it comes to P19, because we'll have television programs like what you're doing right here now. We'll have viewers right in what of you. So these are some of the stuff. Most so, we also intend to have a diaspora link, where we'll have the game play in Minnesota, play in Peckham, North and London, in Victoria, Australia, and other countries that Liberian reside. So these different games and viewing opportunities is also going to bring financial gain to P19.
A follow-up question: if a company comes tomorrow and offers you a large amount of money to take Lappa international, what percentage of ownership will you be willing to give out?
I'll be very frank right now. I'm not discussing share. That's because Lappa is a traditional game. So I don't know how it is so easily possible for me to be selling the tradition of my country, but I can tell you that you can have some. We can have negotiations, that we can have financial, financial distribution. So right now we are looking at financial distribution if there will be a support from that extent.
Okay, let's talk about safety and accountability. How safe is the game?
The game is safe, and then that brings me to the alignment, because we are not just doing a game, we are doing a sport. So our alignment, we talk about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. Alignment number 3, talk about health. Alignment number 5, talk about gender inclusion. Alignment number 8, talk about decent work. And also the AU Agenda 2063, cultural renaissance and youth empowerment. So this program is going to have all of the features, so that's the reason why it's going to be divided into
my question, I understand that, but this is my question. Who is responsible if a player gets seriously injured? Who is responsible?
We have the medics.
Okay.
We have a medic team. It's also part of the organization.
At every game.
Yeah, of course we have a medic team. They'll be responsible for that, and that's the reason why we are also going to have how you call it age range. So from 12 to 16 is going to be placed in a cluster. From 16 to 20 going to be placed in almost like the football. We took some features from football and added it onto it simply because we want to go global about it.
Nice. What disciplinary system exists for fighting, cheating, or unsportsmanship-like conduct?
Well, firstly, observe in our planning we take into consideration the water. That's a doping rule. That means number one, we're taking into consideration people will not be on drugs in the first place to play our games, and we also have a very huge what we call very huge rules for violation. People who violate others rights on the game. So there is a whole huge thing that I'm sure we could not even talk about all today on a very serious note, especially when it comes to that.
If Lappa fails, who takes responsibility?
I take responsibility. I take responsibility because a vision is always given to one person, whereas vision is never accomplished by one person. So surrounding myself with the right people is by far more important. I take from Elon Musk. He said the reason he moved Silicon Valley was because he wanted to surround himself with the right people. So it is honor upon me to surround myself with the right people, including you. When I met you yesterday, it was just like, bam, and you bought into the vision. So we are going to make sure that we incorporate people who are going to buy into the vision.
Have you considered documenting and protecting your game through the Liberian Intellectual Property Office? Have you considered that?
Yes, so we are going through stages. Currently, we are at the level of LBR, Liberal Business Registry.
Okay.
And we have 60% of our documentation already imported. The reason is because I consider it new because people are not really, registering federations and especially sport wide in Liberia. So there are some organs I believe that are not in place to that extent at LBR. So they told us based on that we are compiling them gradually. So I can tell you that 50% or so we are into the process.
Could we one day see Liberia versus another country in an international PNA tournament or competition?
Yes, it's possible.
Do you guys envision that?
With our 9 years, roadmap to 2035, it is 2035. It is possible because in the identical plan we talk about Olympic. The International Olympic Committee talks about 40 countries. So if we are going to ensure that at least 15 of that 40 countries can be played. Lappa as a game can be played before 2035. So it's a reality. It's true. It's yes. It's possible.
Just before we wrap up on this edition, it's kind of interesting. I wish I had more time to ask you more questions. You are asking Liberians to believe that a traditional game can become a modern sport. So convince me in 30 seconds, why should Liberia believe in Lappa and why should we believe in you?
In the first place,
in 30 seconds.
In the first place, that our culture is by far important to us. And Lappa is built on the culture and heritage of Liberian. So, and a few days ago, someone telling me from Minnesota that they played a game when they were a kid. So it is within the better width of our society. So I believe within myself that it is not going to be something that downplay simply because it's already in the better width of our country.
Okay. So just before we wrap up, this is my final question. I want you to give me 3 reasons, man, why Liberian should believe this isn't just another tournament that would disappear after the first edition. Because many times people bring out those great ideas, the first edition, and after the first edition, everything disappears.
That's the reason why we are going to ensure that it goes into, like I said, a federation.
Okay.
And we are very serious about what we're doing. I can assure you. That's the reason why I still don't want to go far from our 9 years playing.
Okay.
To the extent to which we still want to reach at Olympic level. So you know that we have system in place already.
Okay.
So and we are going to be replicating this identical league. So you have several of them. I can assure you. More so, we are going to use the medium of the media. That's the reason why we are here. We are going to be using these platforms across. Like we already have 5 platforms that we are screaming on, and including yours. So I'm sure it's going to be, a lifelong thing, especially with the support, basically with the support of Liberians out there.
Your party comment, man, just before we leave this show.
I want to encourage every Liberian to support your own Liberian dream. This is a Liberian sport, and I do not want to demystify other people's sport and we are intending to ensure that this identical sport goes across Liberia. The Mano River Union League is coming up anytime soon. When we complete the 6 community pilots, we are encouraging you to make sure that you support the 6 communities. We are at your doorstep. Support the 6 communities so that together we can have a Liberian culture. We can have our own Liberian sport and an African sport exported to the world.
Like we always say, the creative economy is the gateway to building in a nation. This is why initiative like this is worth supporting by central government, worth supporting by you watching. And on that note, this is how we call it a day on to the edition of Celebrity Corner. It has been a very interesting discussion. Thanks to Editor Smith, the man behind the camera. My name is Don Weezy, and I talk to you when I talk to you. Bye-bye. Where influence